welcome back to another episode of It's Good Show. It's been a few years, but I guess we're back. We'll see how long. This will be covering the first and second rounds of the 2026 NCAA men's tournament. And I'm not here alone. I've got the awesome and wonderful Trisha here with me. This is her first ever March Madness, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Seeing not just her picks, but some thought process for someone's first ever experience with doing the brackets in March Madness. So welcome to the show, Trisha.
Hello. This has been a new experience for me, so it's been exciting. I actually keep up with basketball this season during the whole March Madness and actually want to watch the games all the way through.
Yeah. Now, once you have something at stake or like a bracket or something, it makes every game worth not just watching, but it has something on the line in every game, and it turns games that you normally wouldn't really care about, especially in the earlier rounds, very exciting. And they've been very exciting in comparison to last year, and we'll get through it. We'll go through it today. As we're recording this on Wednesday, the 25th. Tomorrow is the beginning of the Sweet 16. So we're going to cover, like I said, we'll cover a little bit of the play-in games. We'll cover the first round, the second round, as well as our brackets. And then finally, we'll talk, not just preview the Sweet 16 and possible Elite Eight, but we'll also be saying if we would make any changes along the way, which I think we both probably would make some changes moving forward for games that we still have on the line. So, and heads up, neither of us have a perfect bracket anymore, I don't believe anybody has a perfect bracket at this time anymore, so it'll be fun to go over some stuff. So, real quick, our first play-in games were actually last Tuesday, the 17th. Howard beat UMBC in a tight game. And then Texas beat NC State in another close game, which was funny. We actually were out and ended up watching the end of that game on the phone as we got home. And absolutely crazy ending with clutch shots made at the very end for Texas. And that seems like it'll be a theme with some of these. So these were both playing games for an 11 seed and a 16 seed. And then the next night, last Wednesday, Prairie View beat Lehigh pretty soundly. We were actually at the Mavericks game while this game was going on, and we were watching it on my phone. And as me and a lot of other people were talking about in general throughout the week, people I work with, be crazy for Prairie View as an HBCU to not just get in, but if they made like a run or something, it would disrupt a lot, and I'm all about that. So yeah, they handed Lehigh a pretty good, not really a whooping, but they were in control pretty much from the outset, from what we were watching it and while watching the Mavs. And then Miami of Ohio, they ended up having to play a play-in game against SMU. Would have been a real shame if they would have lost, because the fact that they only lost one game all year and went 31 straight without a defeat would have been a shame. A lot of people said Miami of Ohio should have not even had to play a play, and they should have been seeded higher. But yeah, so that's pretty much how the playing games went. And now we're going to move over to what's really important, the first round of the actual bracket. And one thing we're going to do is actually pull up the bracket itself, because I think I'd be able to get a little clearer view of it. So here's the bracket. Right now we had Duke going against Siena, as Duke being the number one overall seed. Ohio State facing TCU as an 8 and 9. St. John's going against Northern Iowa as a number 5 and a 12. Kansas taking on Cal Baptist as a 4 and a 13. Louisville as a 6 going against South Florida as an 11. Michigan State getting the 3 seed because of a very, very good year for Michigan State with Tom Izzo taking on North Dakota State. So 14, UCLA and UCF, 7 and 10, and then UConn and Furman as a 2 and 15. That is all in the East bracket. For the South, we had number 1 Florida getting a 1 seed, the defending champions, taking on Prairie View. Clemson and Iowa, 8-9. Vandy taking on McNeese as a 5 and 12. Nebraska and Troy. UNC and VCU. Illinois Penn, St. Mary's and A&M. And then Houston getting the 2 seed, taking on Idaho. We move over to the West. We have number 1 Arizona, dominant year for them again, taking on Long Island. Villanova, Utah State. Villanova having a good year in the Big East. Wisconsin taking on High Point. Arkansas, Hawaii. BYU, which we'll get into them a little bit, as we both have feelings about BYU, taking on Texas. Gonzaga taking on Kennesaw State. Miami, Florida taking on Missouri. And Purdue taking on Queens out of North Carolina, not Queens College, out of New York. And finally, we have the Midwest, which is Michigan and Howard. Michigan getting the number 1 seed out of the Midwest. Georgia, St. Louis. Texas Tech, Akron, Alabama, and Hofstra. Tennessee and Miami of Ohio. Virginia, Wright State, Kentucky, and Santa Clara. And then finally, Iowa State getting that 2 seed, taking on Tennessee State. SEC had a lot of coverage in this bracket, in the bracket as a whole. So we're going to go over some of the games right here, and we'll see what we each thought. I'm going to pull up separately Trisha's bracket. I know mine from the first round, so I'm not too worried. But yeah, we started the day off, the very first day, with TCU and Ohio State. A close game, but it felt like TCU just had momentum the entire game. It was a very stressful watch, as I chose Ohio State to make it out of the first round here over TCU. And Trisha ended up choosing TCU.
I'm a Texas girl.
Yeah, so she ended up picking TCU over that. So, what do you think? Your first real pick, because we didn't make any picks in the play-ins, and you got a win. You got TCU over Ohio State.
And I'm a Texas girl, so I'm always going to try and pick Texas, but sometimes I'm wrong about that. But I was happy.
It was tough. 8-9 matchups are very tough. I feel 8-9, 5-12, 7-10 matchups are probably the toughest ones to pick early on, because anything can happen there.
That was an 8 and 9 matchup?
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
So it's those are tough picks. Like 8 and 9, like if a 9 loses to an 8, that's not an upset. If a 7 loses to a 10, it's not really an upset. Even a 5 losing to a 12 isn't really an upset. They should be more evenly matched. Like a 6-11, that's also not really too much of an upset when it comes to the bracket. Like, especially early on, you're looking at like a 1 seed losing to a 16, or a 2 to a 15, or a 3 to a 14. That's pretty crazy. A 4 to a 13, that's pretty crazy too. So yeah, these are tough. These are the toughest ones to pick. And you were 1 for 1 right away, and I was 0 and 1 right away.
And I was happy
with having that done. I watched it. It was a close game. I was so annoyed at the end of it that I ended up I took off work the first 2 days of the first round to watch March Madness. I was so annoyed. I went and worked out after that. But yeah, it wasn't a complete bracket. It was bracket buster, like for Final Four purposes. So, but yeah, it was just annoying to start the day off. Like, wow. So that was our beginning of the day. Nebraska over Troy. Nebraska was the heavy favorite. no surprise there. Nebraska's a very good team this year. So I know I picked Nebraska, and so did you.
I did.
Not too difficult. If Troy would have won, that would have been a major upset. South Florida and Louisville 6-11. If South Florida would have won, I don't think it really would have been an upset. But I think Louisville has had such a great year that to me it might have been more of an upset because this is like Louisville finally getting back to playing very, very well. You picked Louisville as well, so
I did.
I'll say this: I picked a lot of higher seeds this year in the opening rounds. I didn't think too many upsets were happening because last year there were no major upsets last year, and I picked a lot of upsets last year. So I was like, you know what, nothing's really changed in how NIL and transfer portal and stuff. So I didn't really think there'd be too many scares. So I did pick a lot of higher seeds to win, or just teams I thought were favorites based on pedigree. So yeah, we both picked Louisville. They moved on. Close game though, with Louisville and South Florida. Next is what probably busted everybody's bracket. If none of those other three matches did, was High Point over Wisconsin. That is a major upset.
That was amazing.
Yeah, the not just the 12 over the 5, but the fact that it was a mid-major. High Point, it's not in one of the big conferences. Crazy victory. That's our first big upset of this tournament. As we'll move on into the more parts of the bracket, for my bracket, this will have a high effect. I didn't have Wisconsin in the Final Four, but I did have them getting definitely farther than the first round. So that was huge. Duke and Siena, that was the scariest matchup for the first round, I think. We both have Duke.
Well, yeah.
Duke played a terrible first half. They played a mediocre beginning of the second half, and then they finally stepped it up at the end. That would have been it for, I think most people's brackets would have been completely done after that. I think majority of people are picking Duke as their national champion. At the best and at the worst, maybe a Final Four for most people. This was a real scary game for them. The fact that they almost lost to a mid-major in Siena, a 16 seed.
71 to 65.
Yeah, it was very, very close. Luckily, in the tournament, it doesn't matter how much you win by, as long as you win, because there's no real rankings or anything like that, like there is during the regular season, where you could be like Miami of Ohio, win 31 straight, and then you lose one, and since you're a mid-major, you might not even make it in the tournament. So
what's the mid-major?
It's out of a conference that's not like the Big Ten, or in college basketball the Big East or the ACC or the SEC or the what is it, Big 12, like those the big conferences.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking like the equivalent to like University of Texas versus like UNT.
Yes.
UNT
Okay.
is not with like the SEC or anything. University of Texas is. So
Gotcha.
stuff like that. Next we had Vanderbilt and McNeese. This was really scary for me because I picked Vandy quite a bit. I know Trisha picked Vandy
I did.
as well to win this matchup. So yeah, it was good to see them just win. I liked Vanderbilt. I felt they lost the SEC final, but they looked so good in that SEC tournament that I was a believer. I thought maybe that Diego Pavia arrogance from football got onto that basketball team and was going to push Vanderbilt. So yeah, I had a lot of high expectations for Vanderbilt this year based on that SEC tournament performance. And they won. They got out of the first round, which was awesome. Next, we have Michigan State, North Dakota State. No scare there. Michigan State did what they were supposed to do and showed why they're one of the best programs in college basketball, and they have been for decades.
Yep.
And
I did know.
Yep, and we both had Michigan State. Next, we have Arkansas and Hawaii. Really cool to see Hawaii get in, but Arkansas had a ton of momentum after the SEC tournament. They got Coach Calipari now. Um, the fact that they gave up 78 points was a little scary, but yeah, they should have blown them out, and they did. Kudos for Hawaii for showing up and staying in the game and making the tournament. But yeah, Arkansas definitely should have won that, no problem. Next is a problem for both of us, and that was University of North Carolina, UNC falling to VCU. When it comes to program history, I guess I would see this as an upset. This year,
I think it's an upset.
This year, I don't see it as big of an upset because UNC had some injuries going into this, but I thought, my thing was they're a blue blood. They'll figure it out in the tournament. Like, they'll figure out how to get past the injuries and stuff in the tournament. I had them going further than the first round for sure. So, yeah, I picked at UNC. You picked UNC. They lost to VCU. VCU is a pretty good team. 6-11, again, that's a tough matchup. That's a pick'em most times. So,
I don't see how that's a pick'em, though. How does that become a pick'em? Because, that's such a lower seed out of...
Because 6-11 is not... They're not too far apart.
They seem far apart.
No, the far apart is going to be 1 versus 16. Because your 1 seed is going to probably face a mid-major or somebody that barely made the tournament, and it's going to be your 1 seed is going to be one of your 4 best teams in the whole country. That should be a gimme.
Oh.
A 2 seed versus a 15. Another possible mid-major or someone that's not from a mid-major that barely gets in.
I still think
usually an automatic bid. Same with a 3 and a 14. 6-11, I don't think is not going to really be too much of an upset to me.
It upsetted me.
It did. It upset me a lot because I'm a Duke fan, and anytime I need UNC to do anything positive, they don't. So yeah, they ended up losing. That hurt as well when it came to the bracket. We then move on to Howard and Michigan. Again, you're gonna have a automatic bid basically an automatic bid, a mid-major in Howard, how they got in. And you have number 1 Michigan, who a lot of people are picking as their national champion. They're a number 1 seed out of the Midwest. They did what they were supposed to do. The fact that Howard threw 80 up on them is pretty commendable for them. Nothing to be ashamed of. So, nothing crazy there. We both picked Michigan. Next was A&M and St. Mary's, and this was one of those games where we actually picked different. It was flipped because you're a Texas girl, yet I chose A&M.
Yes.
You chose St. Mary's.
I did. I had higher hopes for them.
Was it the seeding?
No. And yes.
Yeah, 7 and 10. It's a pick 'em. I went with A&M. I just had a feeling they would do good. I felt like A&M had
they weren't that great this year.
They were. They have a tougher schedule. So I've been taking into account like conference plays a lot of the time now. So yeah, A&M beating St. Mary's. So I finally got this is I think what tied me up with you, because you had the TCU pick and then I had this one. Then what happened here, and for 2 months now, I have been saying BYU is the scariest team to pick in this tournament. And it's not because they're good, and it's not because they're absolutely terrible. It's because they're middle. And I was partially hoping they wouldn't make it because I didn't want to have to pick a BYU game. I told everybody for 2 months that if you pick them to win, they're going to lose. And if you pick them to lose, they're going to beat you and ruin your time. Now, I made my bracket. This is the bracket. The bracket I'm talking about is one I had to submit on Wednesday. I couldn't wait till any of the final results, so I really submitted it at the end of Tuesday, but Tuesday and Wednesday I had to submit it because I took off of work Thursday and Friday. So I picked BYU to beat Texas. I picked BYU to be either Texas or NC State. It didn't matter. I didn't think whoever came out of it was going to be BYU. For all the college basketball we watched this year, we've watched a lot of BYU.
I know. It's
Anytime
weird.
anytime we turn on to watch college basketball, BYU was on a national game, whether they were playing Arizona or Gonzaga or whoever they were on, and we were watching. So, and they didn't always win. That was the problem. If they were winning every time we watched it, it would have been less stressful.
They won a couple, and they had some really good
But they
plays.
also lost the few that we watched.
Yeah,
That's why
I
it was
know.
tough.
But look at their seeding; they're number 6, so
They-
they were our middle.
They were they were a 6 seed. So we both picked BYU to be whoever came out of the Texas and NC State play-in, and Texas ruined it for us.
I hate saying that because I love UT.
Yeah, it was very frustrating, and when they got eliminated, I got a lot of texts of people just like, "Yep, you were right." Like it's a tough pick. 6-11's tough anyway, but that was just tough because I was saying it for months that BYU's it's not reliable.
It's volatile.
Yeah, because you can't pick either way. So, yeah, BYU falling to Texas, not an upset. In a way, maybe a little bit, but Texas just swarmed them. Their defense was just like smothering. BYU couldn't get any kind of rhythm. Texas got the lead, and they just focused a lot on defense, and defense wins championships in any sport. It's always what's said. And Texas's defense looked like BYU just did not know how to. They didn't know how to compensate or actually react to the defense that was being played. So
It wasn't a huge win. It was 79-71.
they had the lead the whole game,
Well,
pretty much. That's why it was. You never felt like Texas was in danger. Watching that game, I didn't at one time feel like Texas was in danger of losing. I felt pretty much, I'd say, from like halfway through the first half saying, well, there's no momentum on BYU's side that much. So I didn't feel like at any point in the game where, okay, well, they got it's a momentum shift. No, Texas had it. Anytime BYU would answer, Texas would just respond and then just play great defense. So
I'm happy for them, though.
good. Great win for Texas, especially a team that had to play a play-in. So they had to play a game just to get in the tournament, and then they get out of the first round. That's always a pretty impressive feat. Illinois over Penn, no surprise there. Illinois, very, very good year this year, much deserving of a 3 seed over Penn. Next was a tough pick to make. It was St. Louis and University of Georgia, UGA. I ended up picking St. Louis, and you picked Georgia.
Yes.
And this is a 9-8, so it's a pick 'em. So it's not really like, oh my God, how could you pick? I picked St. Louis because they had a crazy year, unexpected for them, and I felt like they had a lot of momentum going into the tournament, and they would carry it. I didn't think Georgia was bad, but I'm like, yeah, Georgia had a tough schedule playing in the SEC and was probably going to be way more worn out than St. Louis, with St. Louis is just that energy and momentum they had. And you picked UGA.
I did. I thought they had a better odds.
It's hard. An 8-9, you're not going to really have an under, I think.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
they had a really good year.
Georgia was good. Georgia making it out of the SEC was pretty impressive. I think it was 10 teams out of the SEC made the tournament, so the SEC was very strong again this year with tournament participation. Next, Houston, Idaho. Gimme for Houston. Houston, for a lot of the year, thought they were going to be a number 1 seed in the tournament. So, and in my eyes, they're a 2, but they're playing like they're one of the best teams in the nation. They are. So yeah, Houston we both picked. Not really a difficult choice on either end. And finally, Gonzaga, Kennesaw State. A little bit of a close game. We both picked Gonzaga. I believe you picked Gonzaga as well.
Pretty sure I did.
Yes. So yeah, we both picked Gonzaga. An easy pick, but Gonzaga's another one of those teams which is like BYU to me, where they do well in the season, and then when they get to the tournament, it's a letdown. Like,
Well,
how many times throughout probably the last decade, Gonzaga should look like they're going to win the national championship, and they don't get bounced in the first or second round. It's just how it is. And
I've never
it
heard of
was
Gonzaga
gonna be
this.
it was
Tell you.
it was gonna be very exciting to see BYU and Gonzaga. So I was like, all right, which one of these does get bounced? So yeah, Gonzaga ended up advancing into the round of 32, and that was our final game of the day for Thursday. First half of the first round completed. We move over to Friday, the final half of the round of 64, and we started with Santa Clara and Kentucky. Very close game, 7-10 matchup. I chose Kentucky due to just pedigree of the program. I know Coach Cal's not there anymore, but I picked Kentucky, and they went to overtime, and all I kept thinking the whole time before overtime was, oh my God, we're going to have 2 days in a row where the first game I lose. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And then after overtime, I was still so annoyed by the fact that I ended up going and working out right after. Because I was so frustrated.
But they won.
They did, but it was very stressful to watch that game. And yeah, we both picked Kentucky. So
They had a better program.
7-10 is just tough. Next, Texas Tech and Akron. Tech doing what they should have done. 5-12. 12, it would have been a major upset. I think in this case it would have been because Akron is a mid-major versus, a Big 12 school in Texas Tech. So Tech got the job done as it should be, and we both picked Tech. Number 1 seed of the West, Arizona, doing what they do, and that's win by a lot of points. And unlike some of the other higher seeds that have been playing lower seeds, they decided not just to score, but they played a lot of good defense, as they only gave up 58 points. So against Long Island,
They dominated.
Yep, as they should have.
That's what a number 1 seed should do to a 16 seed, period.
Exactly.
But
Sometimes it doesn't happen. In our next case, Virginia, a few years ago, was a number 1 seed, and they got upset in the first round against a 16 seed.
really?
Yes, and we are talking about Virginia now because they beat Wright State. Didn't dominate, but was never really in trouble. 3-14. Virginia did what they came to the tournament to do. Got out of the first round at the very least, and we'll move forward when we talk about the second round. More about Virginia and issues that they might have caused. Iowa State and Tennessee State. What a 2 should be doing against a 15. Yeah, they gave up 74 points, but they also scored 108. So they were on fire. Iowa State's a very good team this year and deserving of a number 2 seed. Some said a number 3. I think they justified that number 2 seed with a dominant performance in the opening round. And we both had Iowa State. And we both had Virginia. So to go back on that one. So we're good there. Alabama Hofstra, we both picked Bama. Bama, another great year in the SEC. And they showed it here. This is the kind of performance they should be giving. Something Bama should have been ranked a little higher. I don't think so. I think 4 is a perfect spot for them, considering what happened second half of the year for them.
I want to clarify something.
What?
That we did not pick these teams together at the same time. That we had no knowledge of that.
Yeah, no. I did my bracket actually at work in the office I work in. That's where I actually did my bracket. And then it was Tuesday night. We did Trisha's bracket after we got home, and I was like, "Oh, you want to do a bracket with me?" And so we did her bracket. I basically showed her how to do it, and we did her bracket. So yeah, we didn't do our brackets at the same time or anything like that. And I didn't really give much advice when it came to picking.
No, you didn't.
As we'll see here moving forward, you'll see that I did not give much advice when it came to picking. Next was
What?
Utah State and Villanova out of the West. And This was one where it was a matchup between us. I picked Nova. You picked Utah State.
And he was right.
You were right. It's an 8-9 matchup, so it's a pick 'em. But I went with Big East pride and Big East loyalty.
That's what you get.
So yeah, Utah State. Nova had no control their whole game from when I was watching. It was just very frustrating. They had a couple runs, but Utah, they just weren't able to keep that energy up in the last 3-4 minutes. Next, Tennessee and Miami of Ohio. I don't like what happened to Miami of Ohio here. I picked Tennessee. Trisha, I think, as well, went with Tennessee.
I don't remember.
In the Midwest. Let's check. You did pick Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah, we both picked Tennessee. The problem that I don't like that they got beat pretty good, and before this, people were trying to justify them being ranked higher because of the 31-game win streak, going 31-1, and all of that, and saying, "Yo, we play who's in front of us" and all that. Cool, but this proved that they did not need to be ranked any higher. They ran into a Tennessee team that played through the hell of the SEC all year. So that's what sucks about it, because it hurts anything in the future for a team in a mid-major that has a crazy win streak and is like, well, we should be ranked higher, or we shouldn't have to play a playing game. Well, look what happened here. You then played a big boy, and you got crushed, as to be expected. I didn't think they'd lose this bad. I thought it'd be competitive. I thought they could pull it off. I would not have considered this an upset if Miami of Ohio would have beat them, because the fact that they did go 31-1. They lost their I think it was the quarterfinal game in their tournament, their conference tournament, and that was the only loss all year. And when it came to the regular season, they won every single game. So I wouldn't have considered it an upset, but this hurts future issues like this moving forward. But kudos to them. Hell of a year. Anytime you say you won 31 straight at any level is pretty freaking impressive. So, but yeah, it just sucks it ended in absolute demolition by Tennessee. Next was Iowa and Clemson. This is an 8-9 matchup. This is a tough matchup. Again, just like the Utah State Nova one. I picked Iowa, and Trisha picked Clemson.
I did.
And Clemson ended up losing. It was a pretty competitive game, watching it for the most part, but Iowa ended up just seizing control and not letting up, playing very good defense as well. So, why did you pick Clemson? I watched her pick Clemson, and I just didn't say anything.
No, you didn't.
I didn't make any comments until the picks were final.
I thought they had a better team. They were higher seeded, but by one, so it wasn't much of a seeding difference.
Just like their logo more?
No.
Oh.
They're the Tigers.
So, yeah, Iowa ended up winning and moving on.
I don't know. I just had a better feeling for them. I was wrong.
Next is St. John's in Northern Iowa. St. John's, amazing year. Second straight Big East tournament title. Second straight Big East title, I believe. Coach Pitino back with them. Seems like a perfect fit to be leading the Red Storm in New York City. And they showed why they're in. I like the 5 seed for them. I think they had a great year, but when we talk about top 3 seeds, you've got to have like a phenomenal year. So St. John's did very well. Very proud for them to win the Big East tournament again for the second year in a row. And I picked St. John's. You picked St. John's as well.
That was a great game.
Next, we have UCLA and University of Central Florida out of the East. The East, so I didn't really go over this, but the East region is a killer bracket. It's the bracket of death.
What does that mean?
Pretty much, if we go through it, let's pull the bracket up right here. The East is going to be all the way this. You have Duke. Oh. You had Ohio State, TCU. These are both really good. St. John's, Kansas, Louisville, Michigan State, UCLA, which had a really freaking good year, and UConn, who has won two of the last three NCAA tournaments.
They have.
So this is like the bracket of death. So a lot of people have Duke winning it all, but Duke has to go through a bunch. It's just a bunch of killers here.
Oh, wow. They're going to be playing St. John's next. Is that what they're doing?
Yes, but we're going to get to that.
Oh.
But yes, like Duke had to get through St. John's, has to get through Kansas. You have to get through Louisville, which is had a good year. South Florida had a good year. Michigan State, an amazing year with veteran leadership. UCLA, great comeback year. UConn. So yeah, that's why it's like it's like the side of death, and it's crazy because people are like, yeah, you have the number one overall seed basically in the bracket of death. So yeah, UCLA, UCF in the East. I ended up picking UCLA, and so did Trisha. So, very good game, very competitive. It's a 7-10 matchup, so it could have gone either way. UCF was very competitive throughout, so I was very happy UCLA won. Very happy for all of my friends out west that UCLA was able to get out of the first round. Next, we had Queens out of North Carolina, not Queens College, New York, taking on Purdue. Purdue, another one of those teams I feel like is like a Gonzaga, where it's like every year you feel like at one point they're ranked number 1 or number 2 or 3 at some point, and they are like they should win they're gonna win the dance, and then they get in, and at some point they let you down, whether it's in like the round of 32 or like the Sweet 16, and you're like it's like the Gonzaga syndrome almost. But Purdue did what they were supposed to do. That's a 2 versus 15. The 2 seeds are very strong this year too, I feel. Like you'll see later on, we're going to cover UConn here in a bit, but they're another 2 seed that's just super scary. Florida over Prairie View. Prairie View had an incredible year. Have nothing to be ashamed of. They got in the tournament as not just a mid-major, but an HBCU. The fact that they won their playing game and got in is absolutely awesome. Should not be ashamed by getting blown out. You got blown out by a defending national champions. And they're a number 1 seed, which means they weren't just national champions last year. They were probably going to be national champions this year. So, it's tough to look at that score a little bit, but the fact that they made it in, with all the limitations of not having that NIL money, all the transfer portal stuff that like a major college has, like a Florida, like a Duke, like a Michigan State, super awesome. And the fact that they got to go on court and say, we played the defending national champs, and they can say, yeah, there are levels to this. But the fact they made it in was awesome. Neither of us were picking Prairie View over Florida.
Nope.
I didn't see any chance of any of the 1 seeds getting upsetted this year.
I went against Texas.
Yeah.
Did me a favor this
And
time.
we watched Prairie View while at the Mavs game. We were watching Prairie View beat up on, not Loyola, was it? Whatever the school was with an L. And we were way more excited watching the Prairie View game on my phone than we were the Mavs game, because we're not going to talk too much NBA right now, but Mavs are pretty damn terrible this year.
But we did see the 3-quarter shot.
Yeah, that day, that was the game where
I
forget who it was on the Hawks threw that ball to an alley-oop, and instead of alley-oop from 3/4 of the court, it went right in. But yeah, we've seen enough Mav games this year to see how terrible they are, and this was a bright spot on that night to watch Prairie View win and get in. So kudos to them. Next we have Kansas and Cal Baptist. Kansas, 8-point win. Scary game a little bit. This would have been a major upset. Kansas has a rich, no pun intended, program with their history, and not just their history, but their history in the NCAA tournament. So Kansas is a very good team. A little scary. There have been a lot of scary games first round for a lot of teams that should not have had too much of a problem. A lot of these teams have come to play. So good on Kansas for winning. We both picked them. And now we have Miami, Florida versus Missouri. This was a game I believe I have issues with because I picked Missouri.
Did I pick Miami?
And you definitely.
I think I picked Miami.
You did not. You picked Missouri as well.
Oh, that was not very smart of me.
We both picked Missouri. And Miami said, not happening. Miami beat the hell out of them for most of the game. 14 points doesn't justify just how in control it felt Miami was from start to finish. So, yeah, Miami ended up beating Missouri. We both picked Missouri over the Canes. Final game of the day, and it was the 2 of the last 3 national championships in UConn taking on Furman. UConn, a little scary, but UConn did what they had to do. They know they're experienced enough knowing, hey, we just have to win in this. As long as we have control, we can play decent defense, and we just win the game. Doesn't matter if we score 100 points, doesn't matter if we score 60 points. As long as we win, that's a experienced championship mentality. They have that. A team like Florida had that, even though they blew out Prairie View. But there's, like I said, there's levels to this. Furman, even though is a 15 and Prairie View is a 16, Furman is going to probably have more resources than Prairie View. So, yeah, UConn won and advanced. Out of there, we both picked UConn, I believe. I would
pretty sure I did. Unless
yes, we both
someone
picked
the wrong button.
No, we picked UConn. So that is it for our first round. We're going to hit up into the second round. But yeah, our brackets as of the first round being done, both of our Final Fours were still intact after the first round. That's always scary to make sure your Final Four is still intact. So we're going to move into Saturday, the start of the round of 32. And here we started with St. Louis playing number 1 seed Michigan, probably the number 2 seed overall in this tournament. And a lot of people are picking Michigan to win it all. Michigan did what they had to do against St. Louis. I picked Michigan. And you picked Michigan.
I think I did.
Yeah, you did. Next was Michigan State and Louisville. Not too scary. Michigan in the second half just decided, hey, we're Michigan State rather. We have veteran leadership. We have veteran players. Let's go and do what we're supposed to do. It felt really clean halfway through the second half for Michigan State. They were getting not just a lot of calls, but they were making a lot of clutch shots. Anytime Louisville tried to spark some momentum, Michigan would just respond. After the first 2 games of the day, both Michigan teams advanced into the Sweet 16. Next, we had Duke and TCU. This was scary. Duke had a 1-point lead going into halftime, and the only reason they had a 1-point lead going into halftime is because they were at the free throw a shitload of times. They got TCU into foul trouble really quick in the first half. I think it was before 12 minutes or something left. TCU had 8 or 9 fouls already. So Duke just kept going down the line, and they were making their free throws. Duke went, I think it was 4 or an 8-minute stretch without scoring a field goal. And they were in it because of the free throws. So
that's the reason they mostly won?
That's the reason they were in it at halftime. They had a 1-point lead at halftime because Duke just made a ton of free throws because TCU got foul trouble quick. It was before halfway through the first half, they were in the double bonus. They had already 10 plus free fouls. So I think it was something like that. I know I saw 9 fouls with double-digit minutes left. So it was crazy.
TCU is trying to bring their A game. They didn't win by much. Duke didn't, I mean.
They did. 81-58 is a lot.
Well,
That's a lot.
at
So,
halftime.
halftime, it was a 1-point lead. And then right around the 14 minute mark left in the second half, Duke just started their run. And it was a point where Duke was both Boozer brothers started getting it on. Cam Boozer especially, finally, I don't think he had a field goal in the first half. He started getting hot. Duke started scoring everything from the field, and TCU was not just turning the ball over, but they were missing almost every shot. So once it was about 5 minutes left in the game, it was like Duke you were just like, okay, how much are you going to win by? Because now you're going to win this game, unless you decide to really blow it. This was also the game where I can't pronounce his name, but their center, big dude, came back from injury. He's been out for a few weeks. He didn't play in the ACC tournament. He didn't play in the first round. He came back, made an impact defensively. Is a monster under the hoop. I think he has like a 7'4" wingspan. So, yeah, Duke just was on fire in the second half. If they play like that all the time, then this is the team that people should be picking to win a national title. This is why a lot of people picked them. It's not the team that played Siena that was pretty like lackadaisical, and it wasn't the team that played the first half versus TCU.
Oh, okay.
So we both had Duke winning, so it was a relief when they went on that roll. I was beyond relieved. Houston and A&M battled Texas here. Houston, there was no doubt that they were going to dominate them. A&M is very good. No one can say any different, but Houston is just on another level, and Houston scores a lot. And they also play defense. This is the second game in a row where they've not just scored a lot, they decided, hey, we're going to shut you down. So Houston did very well. They've done very well all year. I've seen them play, I think it was Gonzaga. I've seen them play BYU. And just...
Who won between...
Houston.
Of course.
Yeah, Houston's very good this year. They've been very good last few years. It's not like just this year. They've been good for a while. A good program. This was a major upset to me that messed my bracket up. This also messed your bracket up.
Oh,
Actually,
yes.
no, it didn't mess your bracket up. You had no dog in this fight. So I had Gonzaga beating BYU. Then, when Texas beat them, all I kept saying was, I hope Gonzaga destroys them and just embarrasses them.
But they didn't.
You had BYU beating Gonzaga.
I did.
So, I lost, and you had no dog in the fight.
Doesn't matter. I had UT.
So
UT went on.
This was so annoying. 6 point. Gonzaga would get there, but at no point did I ever feel like Gonzaga was like, all right, Gonzaga's got momentum. They got a good lead. Let's keep going. No, it was anytime Gonzaga either was down a couple or they were only up a couple, but it never felt like they had full momentum. Texas did like they did with BYU. Great defense, swarmed them, made them take very tough shots. Gonzaga had no idea how to navigate that just smothering defense that Texas has been doing. And Texas's next game, as we will see who their opponent is once we go over Sunday here, is going to be tough for them. But it'll be fun to preview it here in a little bit. Next week, Illinois beating VCU. This wasn't much of a contest, and it's not much of a surprise. Illinois is one of the best teams in the country this year, and they beat VCU. I had UNC winning this game against Illinois, and you had UNC in this game beating Illinois. So this game didn't really matter for either of us. So, and Illinois just beat the hell out of VCU. So it was nice to see that after VCU ruined our UNC chances.
That's true.
Watching this game, though, I would have probably said now, yeah, UNC, if they would have beat VCU, would have gotten obliterated by Illinois. I think they would have, especially with injuries and stuff. Illinois is very good. Illinois would have stomped them. It would have. I don't know if it would have been 76-55, but I think it would have been a significant stomping. All right, so we have 2 more games left on Saturday, the first half of the round of 32. Vanderbilt lost to Nebraska. This is a 5-4. This is a pick'em. This was tough. I had Vandy. You had Vandy.
I did, but I think he pushed the button wrong. I really do, because I thought Nebraska was going to win for some reason.
No, that's BS. I didn't sabotage anything. You literally watched me.
I didn't say you sabotaged.
We were there right next to each other doing it all. Yeah, I had Vanderbilt. I had high hopes. Like I said earlier, they had a great SEC tournament run, and I thought Vanderbilt was going to get out of the round. I thought they were going to get to the Sweet 16. I wasn't picking them much farther. So, yeah, this was a tough loss for me because it definitely ruined my this side of the bracket for me a bit. And then you picked Vanderbilt as well, Nebraska. It was a close game, and that crazy ending, that half-court heave that went in and then
bounced
came
out
because it had so much force behind it. As everybody was saying, and I'll say too, it was just like the Butler shot in the Final Four all those years ago.
Oh, we just saw the Hawks do it to the
like,
Mavericks.
Yeah, we
I was
watched,
hoping.
and we watched a shot like that go in, but it went in at a point where like it just like you couldn't even tell it went in. It was so clean, it looked like it hit the bottom of the net.
I know.
This rimmed out just like the Butler one. So. Yeah, crazy ass ending. Was very mad, but holy crap, what an ending, what a game. This was probably the most exciting game we watched Saturday, and we watched it together. This was the most exciting game by far. We were yelling and everything. I was getting more mad at the Texas Gonzaga game because stupid Texas ruining everything for me. But yeah, this was the most exciting game. Like this had our heart rates up, especially that last shot. There's just there's definitely an alternate universe where that shot goes in, and it's absolutely insane. But yeah, credit to Nebraska. Nebraska played a great game. Vanderbilt at times felt like they're out of it. Like Nebraska was very well. Vanderbilt had to come back a few times, and it felt like it was a home game for Nebraska. I remember watching it, and just it was like that the fan base for Nebraska travels very well, as opposed to Vanderbilt because. That place felt like an away game for.
It was only 100 miles away from. Nebraska. It wasn't very far. It's just a state or two.
Nashville's not too far from Oklahoma City either.
Well, it's a little further, I think.
But
and they gotta go through mountains.
But yeah, it was crazy. Would have been crazy to see it. Vanderbilt hit that game winner. NCAA's Nebraska people sad. It's always fun to quiet the crowd. So crazy game. Our heart rates were up that entire game. And then finally, Arkansas High Point. This was very crazy too because High Point was very close to becoming this year's Cinderella. Because, man, they had leads at times in this game.
They did. That was a really good game.
Well. They had... I can't remember the point guard's name. This is the year the point guard I was talking about with work, guys at work today about this. This is like the year the point guard. It was a very, very short point guard for a High Point who just did everything.
Oh, and he was awesome.
He had so much energy from start to finish, and you felt for him because this kid is not getting NIL money. He's actually trying to get a degree to do something else besides athletics, and he's playing against guys who are literally trying to get into the NBA. So it was insane, and he's outsized. But man, it was exciting. It was nerve-wracking because I know you have.
I had Arkansas.
You have Arkansas, and we're gonna go over that because you have them going pretty far. And I ended up not having Arkansas because I had Wisconsin not just getting to this point. I had Wisconsin beating Arkansas in this. So this game had no impact on me. You had Wisconsin playing against Arkansas too.
Yeah, but
you didn't pick High Point.
But I still picked Arkansas, and they were still playing, so I got to watch them.
Yeah.
And then High Point.
Yeah, this mattered. This was a game that.
It really did.
I had no interest in it. When it came to bracket-wise, I had interest in seeing, holy crap, are we going to have a Cinderella this year? Very close. Would have been cool.
But I was rooting for High Point, even though I wanted my team to win, and I wanted my team to win, and I bet they better have won. Yeah. But
you're crazy. So yeah, High Point, great year, craziness, upsetting Wisconsin, and then almost upsetting Arkansas, which that would have cemented them as you're Cinderella this year. You make it the Sweet 16, not just a 12 seed, but out of a mid major. It's not just seeding; it's sort of where you come out of and what kind of school you are is what makes you a Cinderella. We're gonna get into that in a little bit after we finalize the round of 32. So these are the final half of the round of 32 games. These were done last Sunday. And we started with Purdue and Miami. I had Purdue winning this game out of the West. And you also had Purdue winning. Was scary a little bit until really like halfway through the second half. This is like the story of a lot of these games where like teams are finally catching their momentum or something. Like it's taken like 30 minutes for some of these teams to really catch momentum. And Purdue, Miami, great year. Miami ruined my bracket earlier, so screw them. But yeah, no, they beat Missouri. Was it Missouri they beat? It was, so yeah. But yeah, no, Purdue, I have going easily forward to go over that. And so I was just happy when Purdue started just icing this. And they did what they had to do. We both had Purdue. Iowa State and Kentucky. I think we both picked Iowa State in this matchup.
I don't think so.
No, you picked Kentucky.
I think I did.
And I picked Iowa State. Or no. I think I picked Kentucky here. So I think we both lost this one.
I think you're right.
Yeah, we did. I picked Kentucky. I did.
I
did them based on their pedigree, them being one of the blue bloods of college basketball. So, and can't be really mad that they got beat like that because they lost to a 2 seed. Iowa State showed they deserve to be a 2 seed. So,
obviously.
Yeah, we both lost that one.
I should have paid attention to the seeding more.
Yeah, this one was scary. This was probably one of the craziest games.
That was the best game.
This was this was tied for first because there are 2 games that are the best games today. And by seeing the screen, people probably know what we're going to come up to soon. But yeah, St. John's, Kansas was insane ending. Crazy, legendary, old-school coaching battle with Rick Pitino and Bill Self. Coach Pitino ends up getting the dub here in a crazy freaking matchup. This is what high-level college basketball is with 2 very good programs, very experienced programs with very, very experienced coaches.
It was a good match.
It's a pick 'em at that point.
It was a good match.
Yep.
They both brought it.
So, next we have what was the beginning of my downfall. Pretty crappy results we have here. Tennessee beating UVA hurts me a lot. I had UVA in my Final Four. And now, once that happened, my Final Four got busted.
I didn't know that.
Pretty pissed off about that. Yeah, so my Final Four is busted. So like the groups I'm in, and even the work one I'm in, I think I'm at very slim to none chances to win at all.
Okay.
So you are still alive with your Final Four.
I am.
And we're gonna go into that more. But yeah, Tennessee beating Virginia, absolutely, that freaking infuriated me. To me, once my Final Four gets busted, if it gets busted this early, not within the Elite Eight, then I'm pretty much checked out when it comes to caring about the bracket because there's really nothing I can do at that point. There's very little scenario that I can win anything because at that point I probably don't have too many upsets remaining. So yeah, it pissed me off that they beat them. It ruined my entire bracket and pissed me off for the whole weekend.
Yeah, I remember.
You had Tennessee, I think.
Double check.
Did you? What are they? They're in the Midwest, and they're number uno. So yeah, that was for our first. Oh no, what am I talking about? Well, we're gonna get to the number one. Yeah, that was hard. Virginia, Tennessee, and you had Virginia as well.
Same.
So we both had Virginia, but the difference was I had them in the Final Four and you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, my Final Four was a little ballsy, and we're going to go over what it was and what's still alive and what's not. Iowa and Florida. This is the upset of the second round. Our first and so far only, as we'll catch next, number 1 seed to fall. Florida lost to Iowa, which basically said, hey, we are going to guarantee have a new national champion this year because the defending one is out.
Did not know that. I didn't even know Florida won last year.
I forgot that they won until the end of the game when the announcer said they will not be defending their national championship. So, crazy-ass game. Iowa, tough Big Ten schedule. Florida, of course, a tough SEC schedule and did very well in it. They're number 1 seed. I believe you have Florida winning this one.
I think I did.
No, we both had. No. You had. You had no bet in this because you had Clemson winning in the first round, and then you had Clemson beating Florida.
I was hopeful.
So no, that doesn't help you at all.
No.
Because you couldn't score any points in this game, and so I picked Florida. I lost on that one. So that's a tough one. That's crazy. A number 1 seed is gone already. Unlike last year, like I said, last year there were no real upsets when it came to majority. Next, we have Arizona beating the shit out of Utah State, which they should. They're projected. People are saying they're either a number 2 or number 3 team in the nation. Them, along with like Michigan, they're back and forth.
Duke.
Duke's number 1 overall. Duke finished number 1 overall in the nation. They have the number 1 overall seed. So a lot of people are saying like it's between Arizona and like Michigan. Who you think would be that number 2, number 3 overall, and then Florida was a clear cut number 4. Arizona did what they were supposed to do. Arizona scores a lot of points. They didn't score as many as they normally do, but they also play really good defense, as they did in this game against Utah State. Next, you had UConn, UCLA. Was close in the beginning, but UConn ended up pulling away here. Let me just make sure. I think you picked Arizona here in the West. You should have.
I don't.
Arizona. Yeah, you picked Arizona over Utah
Okay,
State.
yeah.
And then, and now we have UCLA. UConn, I believe you picked UCLA, and I picked
did.
UConn. Yeah, you picked UCLA here. I picked UConn. This means we're going to have UConn. We're going to go over the matchups, actually, but it's good. You're going to see why it's the bracket side of death coming up. And then the final game of the night was Texas Tech and Alabama. They're close. They're 4 versus 5. Alabama,
Yes,
honestly,
that was upsetting.
just showed why for a few years they've been pretty much like one of the top teams in the SEC, which is like the conference that's getting all the teams in the tournament because they're very, very good in basketball now too.
They are.
So Bama won,
Yes, they did.
and you, I believe, picked Tech.
I think I did.
You did. You picked Tech.
I went Texas.
And I had Alabama. So that is everything that is happened in the first 2 rounds. Trisha's Final Four is still alive. We'll go over it real quick. You have Duke and Houston playing in the Final Four on the left side of the bracket, and then on the right side you have Arkansas and Michigan playing. You have Duke and Arkansas playing in the national championship, and you have Duke winning the national title.
I do.
On my side of the bracket, I have Duke and Houston playing on the left side, and I had Purdue, and I would have had them playing UVA. And the right side of the bracket, I have Duke beating Houston, and I have Purdue would have been beating UVA. Will now have Purdue beating whoever gets in, and I have Duke beating Purdue in the national title to win the national championship. So that's what we have when it comes to brackets. Right now on the March Madness bracket, Trisha has 41 points, and I have 46. I have a lead, but she has more points remaining. She has 120 points remaining that she can grab, and I have 112. So we're going to try to come back. We're going to preview the Sweet 16 and possible Elite 8. And then next week, hopefully, we come back and we will talk about what happened in the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, and we'll preview the Final Four. So right now, we're going to go into Our first day of Sweet 16 basketball is tomorrow, or if this is uploaded on Thursday, then today. But it is on Thursday, 26th. And the first game of the day is Texas and Purdue.
Oh, no.
I, of course, will have Purdue winning based on my bracket. You have a... I don't know if you have a dog in this fight.
Oh, no.
This is in the West. You do. You had Purdue beating BYU.
I do.
So you also need Purdue to win this.
I do. I do need Purdue.
Sorry, allergies are a pain in the ass right now here in Texas. But so we both had Purdue winning against. I would have had them beating Gonzaga. You would have had them beating BYU. The fact that everything is played out how it's played out so far, how Texas has done, as Purdue has done, would you change your pick now from Purdue to Texas if you knew this was going to be what has played out with everything so far? Or would you still feel confident with Purdue beating Texas?
It's so hard for me to go against one of my favorite teams. Just period.
Well, you don't have to. You can just...
I know. I'm just saying. Would I change it? No. I will keep it the way it is.
I'm the same. I just not just want Purdue to beat the hell out of Texas. I need them to win, and I like Purdue. I think they had a great year this year. An amazing run, Big Ten tournament. So, yeah, I'm going with Purdue still. I would still pick them, and I do have them in the bracket. I'm still confident in them getting to the national title game. Next, we have Iowa and Nebraska in the South. I have to go and see if I have a dog. I think I have a dog in this fight.
Do I?
No, because you had Clemson beating Nebraska. Or beating Vanderbilt. You had Clemson beating Vanderbilt.
Big mistake on my end.
So, I have... I had Florida. I have Florida beating Vanderbilt. So I don't have a dog in this fight at all. You don't have a dog in this fight. So I'm going to go...
I'm going Nebraska.
I'm going Iowa because they just knocked out number 1 Florida, and they have a ton of momentum. Like, your momentum is so increased. If you're knocking out a number 1 overall seed, the defending national champion, in the round of 32, you have way more momentum than Nebraska beating Vanderbilt by 2 points. Beating Vandy by 2. So I'm going based on momentum. I'm going Iowa.
I'm still going to stick with Nebraska. I think they just will do it.
Next, we have Arkansas and Arizona.
Oh, no.
Out of the West. This, I know who you have. You have Arkansas because you have them in your Final Four.
Oh, dear.
So you have them doing that.
I'm rooting.
Have Arizona. I had Arizona over Wisconsin to make the Elite Eight, and
Arkansas is doing really good.
Arkansas is doing very well. They have a lot of upperclassmen. They have Coach Calipari. But Arizona looks very good, and they're playing very, 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 very good defense. And I'm going to take the defense over the offense of Arkansas. So I'm gonna stick with being confident in my Arizona pick originally. Next, we have our final game on Thursday for the Sweet 16, Illinois and Houston. I have Houston, and you have Houston in our Final Fours, so we know we both picked Houston. I'm not changing that. Houston hasn't looked... There's been nothing wrong with Houston all tournament.
No.
They've played solid defense, and they scored a lot of points. This is a team, if they win a national title, it is not surprising me if they win every game here on out. And if they dominate, if they play Duke tomorrow, there's a chance that they beat them by 25, 30 points.
Bite your tongue.
And Duke's my favorite college outside New Jersey. I like them, but I'm just being real. Like, Houston has looked so good. There is not one team in this tournament that I'm looking at currently that I'm like, yeah, they could beat the hell out of Houston. None. Because
Houston's a really good team.
looked so dominated both sides of the ball. So yeah, I'm not scared at all. I think Houston, if Houston plays like they have the first two games, it's not going to be fun for Illinois. It's going to be a long, late night for them. So next, we'll cover the last bit of the Sweet 16. St. John's and Duke start our festivities on Friday. And we have Duke going to national titles. We
Obviously.
Duke, obviously. If this was after the Siena game, I would have picked. I would like to change to St. John's because St. John's looks good and Duke looked terrible after their game. If this was after the first half of the TCU game, I'd say, definitely St. John's because they looked terrible in that first half against TCU.
I know. But
If this would be the last 15 minutes of the Duke and TCU game, I'm taking Duke.
But St. John's
looks good, but
barely beat.
St. John's won.
Well, they barely by a point or two.
No.
Wasn't that the one that just made the ball? What did they call it?
Oh yeah. Yes. St. John's game, the buzzer beater.
Yes, the buzzer beater.
It was the buzzer beater.
And that's
But
by
that's
2 points by a team that's not even that great.
Kansas
So,
is amazing.
Kansas is amazing.
Yeah, that was against the blue blood. Duke's a blue blood. Kansas played better in that game than Duke did for
I don't know.
for 40, 50s. Yeah. They played better. Kansas played better in that one game than Duke has for 70 minutes.
That's not very uplifting.
Or
To hear.
So
At the
that's
point,
why
I'm all about the
saying
bracket right now.
I would. It's hard to pick because if Duke plays like they did the last 10, 15 minutes of that TCU game, Duke should destroy them. Because St. John's is good, but Duke showed why they're the number one team in the nation.
Well, they're going to keep showing
It took them till the second round and the second half and almost half of that time gone to show that. Again, it's Siena versus Duke matchup. St. John's going to embarrass them, double digits. If it's first half versus TCU, St. John's going to win by over 20. If it's the second half Duke and TCU, Duke's gonna win by double digits. Duke's gonna win by 20. So
I guess we have to see what kind of Duke we're going to get.
yeah, I'm not changing it. I'm gonna stick with them. I like Duke here, but it's definitely this is why this is the side of death. Because
The side of death is so dramatic.
It's the bracket of death this side. They're gonna play St. John's here, and if they win against St. John's, it's just another tough opponent. Alabama, Michigan. Alabama looked great, but Michigan has been showing why they're a number one seed. There's no real threat, I feel, for them. I have Michigan winning this game.
Heisman.
And you have... This is the Midwest. Michigan, Bama. You have Michigan as well. You had Michigan beating Kentucky, actually. And I had Michigan beating Bama. So, we both have Michigan. I like Bama a lot, but I think Michigan wins this. It shows why they're number one seed. This next one is probably going to be the game of the day.
You think so?
I would bet on it. Michigan State and UConn is super tough. Michigan State is awesome. Upperclassmen. Tom Izzo, who's like one of the longest tenured coaches in all college basketball. Super experienced. Knows how to win in the tournament. UConn, last few years, has just been like reborn on the men's side. With Dan Hurley.
Reborn.
They've been reborn to be very good.
Oh.
So
okay.
They're also on the side of death because they're here. You have Michigan State. You had them beating UCLA, but you do have them winning this game regardless of who the opponent is. and playing Duke in the Elite Eight.
Did I make a good pick, you think?
Either way, it's a good pick. I'm gonna see who I think I picked UConn, but either way, it's a very good pick. Michigan State has played so well, and UConn has as well. I picked UConn here.
So we're gonna be rooting against each other.
Yes, in this one, and I don't think either of us made a bad pick. So I wouldn't change mine. I don't think you'd change yours. I think it'd be foolish to say if I would change mine because I think it's even. I think it's a dead even matchup going into this, and it's a coin toss. If I had to bet on this right now, I'd just flip coin.
It will be.
I would do that with this matchup. This is good. This might be the best matchup. This is probably the best matchup of the Sweet 16. Like, let's go back here real quick. Yeah. I think that is the best matchup, and then the second best matchup I would say would be Arkansas-Arizona.
That one's gonna have my heart beating so much. I know.
Tennessee and Iowa State out of the Midwest. Did I have one of these guys? I don't think I had either of them.
Did I?
Where were you? Wait, oh, that's the Midwest. I was in the West. Let's see. Iowa State. Oh yeah, I have no dog in this fight because I had Virginia beating Tennessee and making my Final Four, so I have no dog in this fight. Let's see if you do.
I don't think I do.
I think you might. No, you had both picks wrong. You had Virginia playing Kentucky, so neither of us have a pick in this fight. This is tough. Iowa State is super good, and they've shown it like throughout the tournament that they're very, very good. They haven't given up a lot of points. They've scored a lot. Tennessee's coming off of a big win versus a number 3 seed in UVA, a team that did very well in the ACC tournament. I'm going to go with Iowa State, not just because they're a higher seed, but because they've dominated the tournament so far. And Tennessee's done well, but they haven't dominated.
No, I agree.
They dominated Miami of Ohio, yes. But the Virginia game was pretty close for the most part, and Iowa State and Kentucky was not. Iowa State beat the hell out of them. So I'd go with Iowa State.
Maybe the kids had their rest and they're going to power back up and beat Iowa.
You sure you're picking Tennessee?
I am.
Okay, you go with Tennessee? Okay,
I will.
I'm going to go with Iowa State. On this one, and that is the Elite, the final, the Sweet 16. That is the Sweet 16 coverage. Can't really predict anything for the Elite Eight because nothing's happened yet. That's how I'm seeing it right now. Of things I would change, things I wouldn't. Our Final Fours are her Final Four is still intact, and mine is missing one, but not a Final Two. So my Final Two is still alive. So we'll see. That is gonna wrap it up today. I think we're gonna come back next week. Don't know which day, but we will come back and recap the weekend of the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, and then we will preview the Final Four coming up the following weekend. So, what did you think of? So, what are your thoughts so far of March Madness?
I'm enjoying it now that I have something to look forward to see who's going to win and who's not going to win. I don't like it when my team doesn't win.
Yeah, it's a lot better to. It makes it a lot more enjoyable when you have something online. You're not just watching to watch. So it's been really fun. It's crazy. It's literally madness every year, and happy we're enjoying it.
I am too.
So I hope everybody has a great night, and we will see you again hopefully next week.
And it's good! Oh my God! Oh my goodness!